Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, and more specifically, we're going to be talking a little bit about some price action that's come out of Bitcoin here over the last couple of days. Now, as you guys can see, Bitcoin hasn't had a very good last 24 hours or so. I've talked about it in previous videos, and in fact, I talked about in yesterday's video about why I believe that it was more than likely that Bitcoin was eventually going to crash all the way down to somewhere around $3,000 with some change, perhaps around $3,000 to $3,200. Well, last night, Bitcoin retraced all the way down here to around $3,300 on the dot, breaking bearish out of this descending wedge pattern here on our screen. And I want to break down that price action and talk about whether we've seen the proper bottom or whether or not we're going to see a little bit more bearish movement going all the way down to $3,000 flat. We're going to be discussing all of that and more in today's video. So if you enjoyed today's video, definitely consider dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, and smashing the notification bell so you'll be updated every time a new video is premiering. But without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Bitcoin is, of course, trading right now at around $3,390. Quite a bit retraced from where it was last night, where it was yesterday at this time, but actually a little bit higher than where it was last night. As you can see, we had this nice little drop off here that was kind of in the middle of happening while we recorded yesterday's video. And over the last 12 hours or so overnight, Bitcoin has tried to move upwards a little bit. Not a very strong bounce, though. Definitely kind of just some sideways trading action, which does lead credence to the argument of the bears and does hurt the argument of the bulls. The fact that Bitcoin has dropped this much, and this little correction right here is all the bulls have managed to accomplish so far. Now, we'll see how they fare moving on into the rest of the day, because most of this trading has happened at nighttime for North America, so a lot of the bulls perhaps have been asleep. Anyway, we'll see what goes on over the next 24 hours and see where Bitcoin goes from here. We're going to keep doing the technical analysis on Bitcoin. We're going to keep that going, of course, but I do want to go ahead and do the crypto market recap today because we have a lot of very interesting developments here on CoinMarketCap to talk about. The first of which is that Bitcoin is below $60 billion in market capitalization. It's been a very long time since I've seen Bitcoin that low in price and in market capitalization. It's been a very long time, in fact, and Bitcoin is currently trading across all exchanges just over $3,400 and is down by 8% over the last 24 hours. Not a great day for Bitcoin, although in tomorrow's video, I'm going to explain why I'm actually pretty happy that Bitcoin is crashing and why I'm actually kind of excited for it and why I'm absolutely not worried in the slightest whatsoever. So if you guys are looking forward to that video, hit the subscribe button so you'll see when that video goes live. I think that's going to be a good video. But anyway, Bitcoin is down 8.5% today. Excuse me. XRP is down 8.5% as well, and XRP is trading around 30 cents. Ethereum is trading at $9 billion market cap with $87 per Ethereum. That's a very low valuation. Once again, I have not seen Ethereum that low in a long time. And in fact, I'm not sure I've ever seen Ethereum that low, to be totally honest. I haven't been in the market as long as some people, but I don't think I've ever seen Ethereum this low. I think this is an all-time low for the time I've been in the market. Ethereum is down 12% at the moment. Stellar's trading at 11 cents and has taken the number 4 position. Good for Stellar. Stellar's been up here for about a week or so. It's been in number 4, but there are some other interesting developments that we want to talk about. One of which is that Bitcoin Cash has slid all the way down here to number 6. And last night I was looking at CoinMarketCap, and I believe Bitcoin Cash was actually all the way down below EOS, down here at number 8, below Bitcoin SV and below EOS. It's down 12% over the last couple of hours, over the last 24 hours, and as we can see, it's been tapering off and losing valuation in a very quick manner over the last 7 days or so. Anyway, that's pretty much all we wanted to talk about here in the top 10. You can see some big names like EOS are down 20%, Stellar's down 14%. Not a great day for the cryptocurrency markets if you look at it in the way that the majority of people look at it, where green is good and red is bad. Like I said, I don't totally agree with that method of looking at the market, but by that token, Bitcoin ain't doing that well. Anyway, one thing I did want to go ahead and do is sort by change over the last 24 hours, and an interesting thing shows up here. Many of the cryptocurrencies that are trading right around $1 all kind of lined up here. As you can see, several of them in a row. Status Eurus, Tether, TrueUSD, USD Coin, Paxos Standard, and DAI all trading around $1, all right next to each other. And also, we only see 6 cryptocurrencies in the green. The rest of the market is excruciatingly bloody red. And we see only one 20% loser, which is actually EOS. That's an interesting thing to see come out of EOS. EOS is trading very far from its all-time high, and overall the market is very, very red today. Tell me in the comment section down below if you guys are concerned about this, because I'm going to give you my 2 cents before we get into it in more detail in tomorrow's video I'm not worried about this in the slightest, and in fact, I'm kind of happy because maybe when Christmas is coming up, well, now that Christmas is coming up, perhaps I'll go ahead and buy some Bitcoin for some friends as a Christmas present. That might be a good Christmas present, and right now, we're getting some real good Christmas deals, guys. Bitcoin is retraced a lot from all-time high, and it's very far below its fundamental underlying intrinsic value, as I've called it before, and I think that is a very good thing for Bitcoin in the long run. I think what's going to happen here is that Bitcoin may continue going down, and every single penny it goes down, the happier I get because I get to buy Bitcoin cheaper on the cheap for the long run. Let it crash, guys. Let it crash. If Bitcoin wants to go to $1,000 at this point, I don't care. Let's see how far it can go. Let's see how low Bitcoin can go because that just means we can get more of it for the long term. Anyway, let's keep going on and doing our technical analysis so we can try and get some idea of how low Bitcoin is actually going to go. Anyway, like I said earlier on in the video, Bitcoin over the last 24 hours, last 48 hours or so really, has been crashing. Now, we've seen this little bounce here, but like I said, this is nothing to really write home about, and this is a point against the bulls that is all they were able to accomplish after the bears were able to accomplish that. Now, of course, we are in a bear market. Typically, the bears are going to be stronger than the bulls, but at the same time, that right there, no matter what market you're in, when you see this kind of scare quotes bounce happen, that typically doesn't lend a lot of credence to the bull. So let's go ahead and talk about why Bitcoin got a bottom down here around $3,200. Because normally when Bitcoin gets a level of support somewhere, there's probably something on the chart that you can look at that will explain why it got a level of support there. And an interesting thing shows up if we bring up the weekly chart. And we bring up the 200 weekly simple moving average. Right down here, I talked about the 200 weekly simple moving average quite a lot. And right now, the 200 weekly simple moving average is down here on the Coinbase chart at right around $3,150 or so. And on Bitfinex, it's somewhere similar, right around $3,200 or so. So we've seen both of these charts show that the 200 weekly simple moving average is very, very strong. This simple moving average has been very powerful in the history of Bitcoin. If you go really far back, you go on some really old charts, it's powerful on the weekly chart and on the daily chart as well. The 200 weekly simple moving average is very, very important on the daily chart. This is an important simple moving average, and it just so happens to be right around $3,000 at the time. So we have $3,000 lining up with this simple moving average on the weekly chart, and also we have it lining up with the 50 monthly simple moving average, which is down here around $3,000. I've talked about all that in the previous video before, though. I've talked about all of this in the previous videos about why it seems that $3,000 is a strong level of support that Bitcoin could potentially bounce off of in the long term. But where is Bitcoin actually going? Is Bitcoin going to go all the way down to $3,000? Is Bitcoin going to go lower? And what happens after Bitcoin hits $3,000? Are we going to see some kind of February climactic bounce like we saw back over here on February the 6th of 2018? Let's go ahead and zoom out. Are we going to see some kind of major bounce happen like this where we have just a ton of volume coming to the market with a massive volume climax, see Bitcoin crash, and then have a very quick recovery? I don't think so, guys, because what I've seen a lot of people in the comment section tell me is that, Jeb, we haven't seen a bottom yet because we haven't seen a volume climax. And while you're correct, normally when you see some kind of bottom form, normally you do see a lot of volume happen in the same manner that we saw at the bottom of many of these rallies over here. We saw a lot more volume come in right over here at the bottom, right over here at the bottom, right over here at the bottom, we saw a lot of volume, and especially right over here in February, we saw a lot of volume. While typically you do see a lot of volume, normally you only see a lot of volume when the bulls are equally as strong as the bears or even close to as strong as the bears, and they just get the power shifted back into their hands. What I mean by that is that if we were to see some kind of climactic bounce right here, this would have to indicate that the bulls were very, very strong during all this. Perhaps not as strong as the bears, since the bears are driving price action right now, but that would indicate that there is some strength from the bulls still that is going to be able to be used as a resource when we try and have a bounce here to put that volume in. Because if you only have sellers and you don't have any bulls and you don't have any buyers, then where's that volume going to come from? A seller can't sell to another seller because the seller's not trying to buy Bitcoin. They're both trying to sell. So if you don't have people trying to buy Bitcoin, if you set a bottom, you're not going to have a climactic bounce. And what seems to be happening to me right now is that we're kind of slowly tapering off. We're not going down quite as quickly as we were recently, down here trying to find a bottom, and it looks to me like we're going to have kind of a whimper come into the tail end of this bear market. Like I've said in previous videos, what you seem to see in many cases with markets is that bull markets end in a roar and bear markets end in a whimper. And a lot of people thought I was wrong on that because we saw this massive blood fall right here in the later part in the mid part to later part of November. But I still think that's correct. I still think that right around the time that a market comes into the tail end of a bear market, sometimes it's not very easy to tell where the bottom is because the bulls are nowhere near as strong at the end of the bear market as they were at the beginning of the bear market in an instance like this. So what does all this mean? What it means is that, in my opinion anyway, Bitcoin is probably going to keep going down until we hit $3,000, and we're probably going to see some kind of bounce there. Probably not a very strong one, but we're probably going to see some kind of little whimper bounce and see Bitcoin start trading sideways from there. And that is the point where there's a good chance that a new accumulation phase will begin, which may last another 3, 5, 6, 7 months, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months on into the next bull market starting in 2019. I still firmly believe that a bull market is going to be started and confirmed in 2019. But before we do that, we have to flush out the bears. We have to get the bulls start regaining strength, move into an accumulation phase, and then we can start a new bull market in 2019. That's what my point is, and that's where I think Bitcoin is going. I think Bitcoin's going down to $3,000, and I think we're going to see that happen relatively soon considering how close we are. I've talked about in previous videos also about how when you have a very strong level of support and you come down close to it, normally that level of support, and the same thing is true for levels of resistance, has kind of a magnetism to it. Normally it drags the market towards it. And we saw a good example of this, if I can find it over here, where Bitcoin was coming down to the levels around $6,000, and it didn't look like initially that it was going to go all the way down to $6,000. As you can see right here, we would need to go on the Bitfinex chart, or excuse me, on the Coinbase chart for this. We saw that initially Bitcoin didn't really want to go down to these levels of $6,000. It was trying to set a bottom above it, but this bottom kind of had a magnetism towards it, which eventually brought the market down to actually properly test it. That's what you kind of see on really strong levels of support. I think $3,000 is a good example of one of those really strong levels of support, and I think we are eventually going to get dragged down towards it as sellers sell their Bitcoin just above it, push the market down, and then rebuy back in. The same sellers turn into buyers and buy back in down at $3,000, or perhaps they're just shorting. So that's what I think is going to happen in the market. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys think. I know a lot of you guys are very, very concerned about the market right now. I know a lot of you guys are very, very worried right now. And I know a lot of people are on edge. A lot of people have lost a lot of money. A lot of people who haven't been shorting, perhaps you've been thinking the bottom was over here, for example. You thought the bottom was right here. You thought the bottom was right here. You thought the bottom was right here. Perhaps you think the bottom's right here. I know a lot of people have lost a lot of money in this market, but let me tell you something. Losing money is not a good thing. It's not. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that losing money is the idea of a cryptocurrency, of trading, but it is okay because there's always a silver lining to anything bad, and the silver lining to losing money is that almost always when you lose money, it is not the fault of anyone else. It's the fault of you, and that's a good thing because that means that you have the power to make money. So take those losses and use them as either cheap or expensive lessons depending on how much money you lost so that you don't do it again. Don't make the same mistake twice, and you will do just fine in this cryptocurrency market. I don't care how red it is. There's always the option to short if you really think the market is very, very bearish. If you want to do that, feel free. It's all about making money here in cryptocurrency. So tell me in the comment section down below if you guys are worried about this market. Tell me in the comment section down below if you're planning on leaving this market. And if you are, wait one more day and watch tomorrow's video because I think I can manage to change your mind. If you are very bullish on the market right now, tell me in the comment section down below. I'm very bullish on Bitcoin in the long term, but of course over the next couple of days, I am rather bearish. That's going to basically do it for today's video though, guys. That is basically going to do it for today's video, guys. So I will see each and every single one of you in the next video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Gee, you think I would know how to do my own outro by now. Peace.